Today I'm going to show you guys how I remake any sound from scratch. So what I'm going to do in this video is play a professionally made track from one of my buddies named Jordan. And I'm going to show you guys how I break this stuff down and remake it from scratch completely. All the sounds that you do hear in this drop are available in my new sound bank called Orbital. And Orbital will be dropping Monday, so make sure you stay tuned with me on here and on Instagram so you're notified as soon as Orbital drops. In the meantime, you can download Visionary, which is the free version of Orbital, so you can test out some of the sounds and see if you like them. Also, I want to give a huge shout out to my students Rich Miller and Dyson for hitting 100,000 streams on Spotify and 10,000 streams on Spotify. Keep in mind, this is Dyson's first release that he got 10,000 streams on after completing the EDM Bootcamp course. Thanks so much, guys, for sharing your progress with us in the Bootcamp chat room. I really appreciate it. And I want to let you both know that this is only the beginning, and I can't wait to see what you guys do in the future. So you guys may have noticed that one of the main things I do on this YouTube channel is remake professional songs from scratch. And so I'm going to show you how I actually do that. So what I do is I listen to it through. And I'm only really listening to one thing at a time. So what I like to get right first off is the drums. As soon as we get the drums set up, we're good to start building the harder stuff like the synths and stuff like that. So what I'm looking for with my drums is what rhythm they are and what do they sound like. So let's go ahead and build these drums in the exact rhythm and very similar sounds used in this piece here by Jordan. Alright guys, so I have a couple samples here. And it's a very, very simple rhythm. Mind you that when drops have a lot of crazy wobbles like this one does, naturally the drums are going to be a little bit more laid back so that the wobbles can go a lot crazier. And I think Jordan did that very, very well in this drop. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to enhance every other snare as they are enhanced in the original piece here. And so I have a nice little explosive sample to do that. And then I'll go ahead and close up this drum loop with a little drum fill. So now we have this. So when it's time to do the chords and stuff, I don't like to worry about the sound yet. I like to just listen to the notes, get the notes right, and then we can work on the sound design. So when I'm listening to chords and I want to copy the chords and I don't know what chords they are because I have no idea what chords they are, first thing I'm going to do is listen to the bass line and get the bass notes out first, because once you get the bass notes, building the chords is easy. It's kind of just math. So it's going da 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 da. So let's go ahead, load up a sound that we could do that with. Ba. So each chord strikes on the kick. So I'm going to have a new note here on this kick. Let's go ahead and do that. Na, na. Wah, wah, wah. Alright, so now we have our bass notes here and they sound really good. And now watch, making the chords is so easy. All we're going to do is take these bass notes, push them up 7 semitones or 5 steps, and then we got to put that note in the middle. Okay, wait, I'm on the wrong sound here. Nope, we're not starting with that yet. We have to do a clean sound, make sure we get the notes right. Alright, so these sound good, but they're not fancy and future bassy enough, so I'm going to add some character-y notes. So now we have a nice fancy set of chords. They sound right. So let's go ahead and make the wobble. Keep in mind this wobble, it will be available in Orbital, but I'm going to show you guys how to make it from scratch right now. Every sound starts in the oscillator section. When you're making a sound, it's always good to just start with one oscillator, get that sound right, and then you can move on to adding other oscillators. So I'm going to come into the analog list of wavetables, just use a basic saw, and then I'm going to push the unison up. So we have this now. And then I'm going to just give us something that sounds like that. And now I want it to go wow, like wah, 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 instead of just that sustained note. So I'm going to take envelope 2 and track it to this cutoff knob. What envelopes do is they turn knobs for you. That's it. That's all envelopes do. So I'm going to turn on this filter and tell envelope 2 that I want this knob to open at a speed that's so fast that it gives us a wobble sound. So I'm going to put the decay down, and we should get now a pluck. And I want to add a little bit of resonance just so it's like screams a little bit more. So now we get that. I'm going to put this on 18 just to make the wobble a little bit tighter. We get that nice sound there. And let's go ahead and soften the attack to give it more of a wah sound instead of like a pure pluck. And so I pulled this down a little bit, like, so it's not like as high frequency. And then I'm going to give us another oscillator, pull this an octave down, I think. I'm not really sure yet, and push the unison up a little bit. Oscillator B isn't going through the filter. We have to route oscillator B through the filter. That seems like a little low. Alright, so now I need to check Jordan's piece real quick to see what octaves this wobble sound is sitting on. Alright. Wow, 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 wow. I think my top note is wrong. It was wrong. Okay, well that's okay. So we're going to be fixing as we go. Let's go ahead, look at our chords one more time, and then we're going to bring up our instance of Serum. So we got our chord notes, and we're going to push this one up an octave, actually, go into analog and B saw. Gonna get that, so I just put this down a note. And I like to do one last thing. I didn't hear this in the original, but like this is an optional thing if you want to do it. We're gonna grab the LFO and just add a little bit of that future bassy vibrato, and we're just gonna do that by pushing that up a bit. So here that's kind of like fluttering. You can keep that if you want, or you can get rid of it. So now I'm going to play everything we have here with our drums and see what we get. Okay, this one doesn't have to go there. That definitely, yeah, it didn't have to go there. Alright guys, so for this bass line, we're going to use a very similar sound. When you're making wobbles, you can't use a different sounding bass line. You have to use the same sounding bass line, or else you're not going to get that nice tight wobble. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to duplicate our layer here. So let's do wobble bass so we don't get confused, and then wobble main. And then the wobble bass is what's going to play our bass sound. I'm going to take this down to a nice deep octave. And what I'm going to do with this one is I'm actually going to warm it up a bit. So now we get that nice undertone. I'm just going to tighten this up a bit. Alright, so now we have to do those little wobbles. Hear that? What? So we got to do those. So now what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate our wobble main. Take what we already have for the chords, and we're just going to drop them where they should be. So it goes wah, 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 wah. So wah, 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 wah. So these are going to hit there. We'll get rid of those. What? So we need another hit here. Now we can go ahead and make these sound like what they're supposed to sound like. So to make them consistently wobble, we're going to use the help of a LFO tool. So what we're going to do is just wrap the LFO around the cutoff knob here, and then we should get a nice wobble. Whoa. So what we have to actually do now is remove the envelope to modulation, and then we get that wobble like that. This LFO never stops turning the knob. Envelopes stop turning the knob. So let's go ahead and shape this wobble. We'll get that nice sound there. Wow, wow. So this one, I'm actually going to get rid of that hit on the wobble main. And then we're going to fill it up with this little wobble. And then we'll go ahead and fill this out. I actually forget. Yeah, it does go through that snare. We got one more set. And then these wobbles follow the drum fill really nicely. So then we get this. I actually like this better if we keep this one here and get rid of this one. Sorry, Jordan. And then we get that, and right there is how I like to remake very complex drops, just piece by piece. And so there was one last little layer here. It was just a set of vocals. I don't know what vocals he used. I always tell you guys, it's very hard to remake vocal melodies when you don't have the original vocal that they use, and I don't know what vocals he used, so I had to just get my own, chop them up into some mediocre melody, and throw it on there. They're decent, but you get the point. That's how I like to remake complex drops. Keep in mind, guys, Orbital is dropping Monday. You definitely don't want to miss out on this pack. It's 125 of the greatest sounds that I've ever made for Serum. And these sounds will literally give you the upper hand on any melodic genre of electronic music, whether it's future bass, future house, electronic, chill step, you name it. These sounds are good for any melodic genre. And if you're interested in learning chord writing, melody writing from scratch, sound designing from scratch, come join me in my EDM Bootcamp. EDM Bootcamp is an online course with 7-day-a-week access to me and my team, so you can ask me any questions, share your tracks for unlimited track feedbacks. And if you're interested in that, go ahead and hit the description below. I look forward to seeing you in there.